Okay. Welcome everyone to the Committee of the Whole meeting, Wednesday, May the 13th, 2020. It's 3 p.m. So call to order and a declaration of conflict. Any conflicts? Adoption of agenda. First, second, all in favor? Aye. Appointments and delegations, none. I've got something myself for new business, just real short, if we have time, and so we can move right into the agenda then. And
well, new business items would be before the business items.
oh, okay, then I've got it right here. And all it is I was at Scredo this week, and Sunshine Coast Service Food Service Response. What they're doing is they're putting out meals. You can buy a meal in a grocery store. It's a frozen meal. And what happens, every fourth meal that's sold, one meal goes to the food bank. And the big deal is it's been able to keep the restaurants open and keep local people employed. So I just wanted to bring that up. And if anybody wants to know anything more about it, they have an email address, and it's scfsresponse.ca, and that's it. So
okay, so I'll make a note then too. The Community Foundation is looking to match funds with the District of Sechelt, right, up to $50,000. Today's update, they are now at $22,005. So if somebody is looking to donate to the COVID-19 fund from community foundations, we're matching those funds. Bring it on. That's it.
Okay. Let's move on then. Business items. First quarter department progress reports. We're going to find out what everybody's been keeping busy doing.
I'll move receipt.
Oh, okay. All in favor, or do we need a second? All in favor, there we go. Okay. Mr. Our CEO, Mr. Andrew Yates, will lead us off.
Thank you, Chair Lamb. Not a lot to say. The reports are fairly self-evident on what everybody's been up to, and we're happy to answer questions when we get there. Just wanted to say a couple of things. Despite the pandemic, I think we've the staff have weathered their way through the first quarter very well. We're very pleased with our two new additions to the senior management team. They have clicked in and gelled very quickly, and we haven't missed a beat in planning or in finance. I did want to give a special mention to everybody involved in the 5-year financial plan. It was quite the process this year, as I'm sure most people are aware, and we appreciate Dave's leadership on that 5-year financial plan and going through the change process quite quickly at the end there once the pandemic hit. On the staff level, things are going quite well. People are settling in as well as can be expected in the working at home mode that we're in now, and we see being in for quite some time. We're still working on a back to work plan as the restrictions get lifted in time, but we're not in a rush, and we're not pressuring anybody. We'll be working with staff to figure out how to get people into our office building. We have a very small and tight office building, as most people are aware, in our cubicle system. So getting a lot of people back to the office quickly just isn't feasible. We will not be up and running before June 1st by our calculations at this point. We're still waiting to get plexiglass installed along the front counter, so we can't do anything about that, but we should have things up and running in time for tax time. There will be messaging going out with the tax bills to let people know how to make their payments without coming into the office, because that's certainly the preferred method for the public and for us, if at all possible. So that's where we're heading with that stuff, and we'll provide more details and news as we get those plans firmed up and we start getting people back to work. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I don't know, do I go through this and call for our Director of Finance?
Why don't we see if there are any questions for CAO on this report first?
Sure.
I'll make a comment. On page 9, actually page 10 in our agenda, it talks about the Sunshine Coast Task Force. And I want to commend staff for just jumping on this. It was huge in the community. We didn't know what the impact of the COVID-19 situation would be, given businesses were closing down and people didn't have any money. It's a testament to the community how quickly they came together to provide that support and provide that social safety net. And we took a leading role with the district in providing some of the facilitation pieces which were necessary. In the end, I don't think the uptake was what some of the organizations anticipated, but that is only because the federal and provincial government came out quickly with funding for individuals and businesses. Have we seen more people taking advantage of the food bank, for example? Yes, we have, but not to the numbers that we anticipated. So I just want to say thank you to everybody on staff who really jumped on that and got on board and provided the glue basically that allowed that program to go forward. I think we've learned a lot from it, and I think it will be something that will stand the community, be good for the community going forward should we ever have anything else that we have to deal with. And this wasn't just for Seashell, this was the whole Sunshine Coast. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who had a role in that. That's it.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions?
I'll just get on the thank you bandwagon and thank Julie, Lucy, and Parks for making me look so good with the Respiratory Assessment Center on how fast we were able to get that up and going. And I should have tried to get some stats for you, but it's been invaluable. In probably the biggest impact is taking the pressure off of the emergency department where all of these people would have ended up. So it's been great. And I don't know that, Joe Blow Public can really recognize the value that has brought. I mean, unless you work in the emergency department, and that's where you really feel it. So thank you to everyone for supporting it and to staff for their help with it, which is ongoing. This is an impressive report. I'm pretty proud of the leadership that we took through the that we continue to take through the COVID situation, and going forward, I think that we need to continue that, and I'm happy to see that. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing.
I'll jump in just real quickly.
Okay.
Top of page 5, there's a comment that the amount of counselor correspondence is down. That's not really anything to do with staff. I just wanted to comment on that. And if anyone's listening, please email us. That's how we get information. Facebook doesn't reach everyone. We don't see everything on Facebook or social media, other social media. So send in those emails, and that's how we can really see stuff. So hopefully that number can come back up. But it's key that we hear from people through email.
Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to Director of Financial Services, Mr. David Douglas.
Thank you, Councillor Lamb. My report starts on page 17 of the agenda. And I'm just going to go to the bottom of that page where it starts talking about the COVID-19. And although the office remains closed to visitors, we as a department have been moving forward with, well, we're calling it essential services, but it's more than that. Anybody who has had an accounts receivable or tax request for information by phone, we've answered every phone call and gotten back to people with email. Additionally, although we're not open at the front, we still take payments. People mail in payments, or people phone looking for garbage tags. We'll mail them out to them and they'll give us a payment over the phone. So our service level has still been up there for the public. We, both finance and IT, have been working from home, so we have very limited staff here at the office, but it is working very well. We made our deadline for the audited financial statements. We made our deadline for all our taxing and 5-year financial plan bylaws. And so we are moving really forward, pretty much business as usual. Our department holds meetings every week, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on Zoom or on Microsoft Teams. And we talk about what is coming up, what people are doing, where somebody might need help. So we talk through those things, and then also we do individual calls throughout the day when we need to talk to our staff. We are planning to complete the tax season with an emphasis on minimizing the face-to-face contact at this point. We are going to be hopefully installing some protection there, but that still doesn't mean we will be open full-time hours. We really, the emphasis in our message to taxpayers this year is there's many ways to pay. You don't have to come in. You can claim your homeowner grant online. You can transfer money to us. You can drop off checks in our Dropbox. So there's many ways that people can still pay their taxes without coming into the office. And we are really trying to promote that this year. Some of the highlights this quarter, really, we passed a procurement policy in January of this year. We completed 11 budget reports and presentations to committee of the whole. We applied for a grant application to the BC Air Access Program, and we've done a financial 2019 to 2023 financial plan amendment bylaw, and completed 2019 year end with auditors on site for a week. And going on to information technology, we implemented our Office 365, which has given us Teams and other tools to use within the office. What a perfect timing, I tell you. Like, we planned to move and without knowing COVID was coming, and once we got there and then COVID hit, it was a tool that became irreplaceable. So it's been wonderful. We have equipment for 36 staff working at home. We've upgraded 8 computers so far this year. We have upgraded the Wi-Fi at Municipal Hall, the Water Resource Center, and Mission Point House, Seaside Center, and Rockwood Lodge as well. And we continue to support all our staff. In our fast facts there, you can see we get 7.6 calls for IT every day. 560 emails per day are coming through. And we have our spam collector, which collects spam mail every day. So that would be my report for the first quarter. Thank you.
Perfect. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Douglas?
Tom, can you see everybody?
Nope.
I'll just jump in then. I saw I was the only one with my hand up, so I'm just going to jump in. I've always filed my homeowner grant applications online through the website. But if you're not on the internet, is it part of the tax notice? Can you do it in paper, or does it have to be done either online or in person?
It has to be done online, or you can be dropped off if it's filled out correctly. Not a problem. If it's not filled out correctly, we will get back to those folks and make sure it's done in time for the tax due date. So, yep, 2 ways really: mail them in, do it online, and if we open, it could be brought in. We have a mail drop box downstairs as well that they can drop off their checks and or their homeowner grants.
Great. So unless you've got to pay your taxes by cash, you really can avoid having to go in to pay your taxes this year completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
I was looking at the information technology piece, and I mean, we all know, but I just wanted to point out for the public that we have one full-time IT person in the district. Yes, we have off-site support, but we have one person. And I know when COVID hit, that was phenomenal what she did in 2 days to have everybody outfitted and be able to work from home. And the support she provides us is top notch. So I just wanted to put a shout out to IT. That's it.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Anyone else with comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. That's all I got. We can move on then to Director of Planning and Development, Mr. Andrew Allen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Lamb. So it seems strange now that the bulk of the first quarter was actually spent in the office. It feels like the world has, in fact, completely changed, and most of our work seems to be at home, which we are doing. So I'll give a quick summary there. Our building inspectors are in the office. Their daily workflow involves office time as well as inspection time. We have a bylaw enforcement officer also full-time in the office, which his job flow also brings him out into the neighborhoods and the streets frequently. And then we also have one planning technician who spends Monday to Friday in the office, and he's able to handle a lot of public inquiries as well as odds and ends and favors and jobs for colleagues and councillors alike. While the rest of us do work at home, we're in regular contact with one another. We've had Microsoft Teams meetings, collaborative meetings, planning and engineering with a subdivision developer as recently as this morning. So we are managing and succeeding in this temporary work from home environment. That said, first quarter of 2020 did see a fair amount of development and applications come through. Building permit applications are steady and they continue to arrive. We have a system where they're put in bins down at the bottom door, but the assessed value or the estimated value of construction in the first quarter was just under 7 million, which is slightly above the quarterly average from 2019. So we remain on track in that regard. Other achievements in quarter one, which we're still back in council chambers, include adoption of the Sunshine Coast Childcare Action Plan. That was adopted in February. The Sunshine Coast Housing Needs Assessment has really kicked off. That did start in Q4 2019, but SCRD, Town of Gibsons, and District of Sechelt are working collaboratively together with the Urban Matters, who's our expert consultant in this regard. We've got a questionnaire that's open. You may have seen it on the email signatures of planning staff, social media, and there's print and radio advertising coming. So that continues, and we're finding some great information out of that. We did have the Game of Floods plan for first quarter, spent a fair amount of time planning, advertising that, and had to postpone, unfortunately. But that should continue. We're making plans for how we can structure a future official community plan review and what priorities might be, and forging out time where we can to contribute towards some planning for engagement and so forth on the Wharf Avenue Street frontage improvement, should funding be successful, as well as look for opportunities to continue on with zoning bylaw review. And respecting developments, applications, we've seen success with the W2 development, or more commonly referred to as the Wade development. There was a public information meeting. I believe that was February. It was on the same evening as a council meeting. And that one is continuing. Green Court application for development permit has recently been received. That continues. Trellis Silverstone development referrals, readings and referrals commenced in Q1, and that continues. And you'll be seeing more on these and many other development applications in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Okay, any questions or comments for Director Allen?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I just want to better understand the effect of the pandemic on our building industry. I think you said that building permits continue. So I want to see if you've noticed anything. Have there been any dropped applications? And then follow up with that. If this is a severe recession, sometimes buildings get half built. I'm just wondering if you could speak to a little bit of how we might deal with that, buildings that get half built and then abandoned.
Sure, excellent question. Thank you, Councillor McLean. We have not seen that yet to date. We've been continually pleasantly surprised by the amount of activity that carries on, new permits being received, work continuing on existing permits. We did have to take extra measures to ensure that our building officials are safe, respecting not entering into buildings when there's other folks and traveling alone in single vehicles and so forth. But building permits do have a time limit on them. We do track permits. We do send reminders when permits are close to expiration. So we would continue to monitor that. There's the potential for using notice on title respecting buildings that are not finished or not inspected appropriately. What we have seen, I think, are more perhaps some permits that have been issued or development permits have been issued and construction has not commenced, and perhaps landscaping security has been submitted and folks have been inquiring about perhaps either an extension or putting their project on hold and maybe receiving their security back, rather than say a building that's approaching lockup and then just abandoned. To my knowledge, haven't seen that yet, and hopefully we do not.
Absolutely, thank you.
Anyone else? Not hearing anyone. That's kind of. Okay, I don't know if I've got. Anyways, I'm good. Okay, so we can we move on then to Director of Engineering and Operations, Darwin Whitney.
Yes, thank you, Chair Lamb. We have, of course, everybody knows we have engineering, public works, parks, and wastewater under engineering and operations umbrella. We are always very busy in our department. We're always, building things, we're breaking things, we're fixing things. So it's a continuous process for us all year. I'm very proud of our inside and outside staff and how they have been coping with this the new normal, as we say. Everybody's really kind of excelling and moving things along. There's really no big issues out there. We meet weekly as an entire staff, and also daily, hourly when required. So we're quite in touch, keeping in communications and making sure that we are providing the information, gathering the information from all the staff that we need to. So I'll just basically open it up to any questions that we have, and we can have the managers answer those questions for you. Thank you.
Okay. Council, any questions or concerns or comments?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'd love to hear an update on Trail Avenue from either your words or Sanaf's words about just how it's going, if we've found any roadblocks, if it's progressing as per schedule.
Sure, I'll turn that over to Sanaf. You're muted, Sanaf.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's going well. We have completed most of the work on the north side from Surf Circle to Neptune. So only outstanding is now street lighting and top lift of the asphalt and the asphalt bike lane. So now they are moving to south side. They're starting a archaeological study from south side, starting from Cowrie Street. So moving now just past Medusa, and from Medusa going further north, they're doing a little deeper because we have proposed a new force main. So then the archaeological wants to go a little bit deeper study that's going to be 1.5 to 2 meter deep. So that's a delay on that one. Once we have done that one, then the contractor will mobilize on the south side.
Okay, and no major issues so far?
They found some artifact at Dolphin intersection. So they want to keep the material on site mostly. Otherwise, they have to do 100% screening and relocate and the hauling out. So we have the second plan. That is that 25% screening and try to keep as much as possible on site to save some money.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Darnella. You're muted. Somebody's muted.
Mike.
Gloria,
I
maybe
believe
to
the
you.
mayor is experiencing some speaker issues.
Anyone else? Write us a message.
I can, just a quick question. Wayne, one thing is if the mayor wants, she could use the Q&A section to type a question in.
Yeah.
There she is. But because she missed her chance, I'm
Oh,
gonna
I'm
ask my
here.
question. I understand we've hired a operator or supervisor for up at Dusty Road. When did that person come online, and do we have some changes that are going to be coming now that we have a person there?
Hi. Hi, Councillor Toth. Yes, we had a wastewater laborer that began up at the Dusty Road facility on the 13th. On the 13th of April, 13th or 20th, sorry, of April, and that'll be in our Q2 report. But yeah, it's very exciting. It has a lot of initiative and comes from a good experience, and so we're really excited to have him. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm available. So I know my computer's supposed to be doing a Microsoft update, which I think is causing me issues here. I noticed in the report from Jamie from Parks that you found someone who will accept the invasive species and incinerate them. That's still a concern in the community, I think, too, that there's no place for community members. I've heard from landscape architects, for example, they have no place to take invasive species that they need to dispose of. So is that something that this group is actually looking at, the Invasive Species Council? Are they looking at that to try and identify something?
So the recommendation from the Invasive Species Council is to triple bag the invasive species and bring them to Metro Vancouver for incineration at one of their facilities, which is just not feasible when we're talking about 6 tandem loads of broom. The cost would be prohibitive. So I reached out to my colleagues in Gibson's and the SCRD to find out what they're doing as well. And Elphinstone Aggregates out of Gibson's or Langdale has in the past had a permit for incinerating, because you do actually need a permit to incinerate. So, and it has to be at a certain temperature when you're burning. So it's not just they don't allow just a backyard burn to incinerate invasives. So I've reached out to Elphinstone and they've said that they do this on occasion. So it's not a regular service that they provide. So they'll let me know the next time that's going on, and hopefully it can be available to members of the public or others if it was to be, publicized.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I may have some more issues, so I'm going to say what I need to say so that I can leave it at this point. I just want to say I really enjoyed reading these reports. I think we're not there every day to see what you guys do. And this actually lays it out for us, lays it out for the community. And I find it fascinating to see the day-to-day and the volume of work that you guys do in all the different areas. So I just want to say thank you. And thank you for putting this together. I know it even takes time putting this together, but thank you for the information and thank you for what you do. That's it.
Any further comments or questions?
Yeah, it's Eric here. I agree with Darnell on the reports that I suspect they took a long time to build, but it just laid everything out. It was absolutely perfect. A question for Jamie on the incineration. Would an air curtain burner suffice for the incineration side of that?
So I'm not familiar with an air curtain burner. Is that the same as a burn box?
Yeah, basically it's a burn box, but they create an air curtain so that they burn hotter.
Yeah, so I talked to it was the city of Powell River.
Yeah,
they've got one, and what they found was it wasn't working that great. So what they did was they went to basically to send their stuff off to Catalyst, to the pulp mill, who will incinerate larger amounts. So they bought the unit, and I don't think they're using it anymore. It's just not ideal for large amounts, and I guess it's kind of cumbersome. So they've gone to the mill. I reached out to Catalyst. I've reached out to our mill, House Sound Pulp and Paper, and Catalyst is not running at this time. And House Sound is not, they don't offer that service. You need a permit, like I was saying. So the burn box was an idea, but if we can get Elphinstone to take care of this, that would be even better. Doesn't mean investing in a piece of equipment that may not work that well. So
yeah, the one that Powell River had is quite small, trailerable.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the problem with it. It was just not big enough for what it needed to be.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Okay, thanks.
So just continuing on this discussion about invasive species, I think it'd be interesting to see what Elphinstone can do in this upcoming year. And if it does prove to be a feasible solution, I think either us or the SCUD should look up at getting a service established to accept some of these invasive species at our green waste facilities and then transfer them over for incineration. Because yeah, there's just nowhere to go. And right now they're probably ending up in our green waste, which just expands the transmission of a lot of them.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you, Councillor McLean. There should be, a better system in place. Thanks.
Anyone else?
I'll just jump in with a final comment. So echoing the mayor's statement about thank you staff for putting this together. It is valuable for us to kind of know what's happening. It's also, I'm starting to see adoption of the strategic plan. So I went through our entire strategic plan and started looking at how it's linking in with the work that we're actually doing. And we're making some progress. We adopted the strategic plan about a year ago now. And it's nice to see that we're making some real progress on almost half of the items that we brought forward in the strategic plan. So I want to commend staff for following that. And hopefully by the time this group is up for the next election, we can make real good progress on that. But I think we're at a really good stage of working on all that so far.
Yeah. Any further comments? Or I just got one for Sanath. Did he say they found some artifacts at Dolphin Street? If it was under 5 feet in depth, Sanath, maybe check and see if those are my toys from when I was a little guy. We used to do a lot of digging around there.
Actually, the four artifacts.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Is there any? I guess that's sort of the end of the meeting. It looks like. So, any comments? Overall comments for anybody, or we're good to go? I guess I'll call for adjournment. We need a second, or all in favor? Go for all in favor. Good enough. Enjoy the rest of your day.